Eden Kaz here with Just Be, and we are about to take a spiritual boom. We are at an unprecedented time in human history where we are transitioning from 3D to 5D within the great spiritual awakening. This video and audio podcast is the place for you to find your truth beyond politics, your sovereignty, your voice. Let's kick up your vibration now. By the way, each episode ends with the Just Be practice to do just that. P.S. Just to know a little bit more about me, I'm a psychological empath, meditation master, dimensional healer, all the things to help you within this ascension. To learn more about me, visit me at EdenJustBe.com. And let's get this party started. So, smile first. And I do some crazy ones too, just because I love that. You know, they're ridiculous. And I have people go, I would have never done this a couple years ago, but now I'm just like, yeah, it's crazy. All right.
It's crazy.
Good. I feel like we got something good there. Okay, then. Oh, Charlie, there's more. I got to get ready for just a second. Feel the energy coming through my bones. Oh, okay. Eden, Just Be spiritual boom in association with the Grassroots Warrior Network. Yes. From Boulder, Colorado. Right. Okay. We have Dr. Charley Cropley with us. Please say hello and
welcome. Good morning or good afternoon, everybody. Great to be with y'all.
I love y'all. Okay. And I have always said naturopathic. So today I'm going to try for naturopathic. Is that correct?
Either one goes good.
Either one is okay. All right. So we'll see what I come up with. Okay. So Outspoken Naturopathic Physician, and my connection with Sasha Stone connected me to you, which is awesome. And I was watching one video about how you saved Dale Bigtree's dad who had COVID. And for those who may not know, Dale, he's big in the awakening movement, and an sometimes I can't talk, an anti-vaccination activist. How was that? How did that go? Let me go and I'm going to ask you some questions
how did what go?
In terms of helping him, this was like right 3 years ago, correct?
Yes, approximately. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Mid-COVID.
All right. So, Dr. Charley knows I'm going to talk for just a second, then we're going to get more into his bio, and then we're going to start to talk. So, if you're here just to see him, feel free to skip over this. This was recorded 2 weeks in advance, so the show will be on the 24th. Yet the eclipse just happened yesterday, which was April 8th, and I was in direct line for that. I don't know, Charlie, how was Boulder in that?
Minor.
Okay, minor.
Yeah.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it was quick, yet it was really big, and a part of that is spiritually meaning to stand more in your truth. So here we go, another wave of doing that. And in terms of standing in our truth, in terms of being a healer or a light worker, and I know you talked about this too, and I'm going to read it in your bio, it's us standing more in that all the time. All right. 2 other things I want to add. So I can now do a COVID vaccination spiritual healing, which is awesome. I've done 2 now. And I'm starting to talk about this more as I get more attuned to it and more comfortable with it. The main intention is this reconnection of God and spirit. And Charlie, I have to tell you this, in both occurrences, I've seen major demons leaving the body. So I don't know how everybody feels about that. Yet it was really neat to see them essentially fill the room and then dissipate. So this is really, really great stuff. And then I've said the past, I will have a t-shirt on next week. I've got some great t-shirts coming talking about 3D to 5D, the Great Awakening. And then we've got some more controversial ones. So my daughter just did a great drawing of a fun sheep's face, and the shirt asks, "Are you a sheeple?" So more of that to come. All right, Dr. Charley, shall I go into your bio now? Are we ready?
We're ready.
We are ready. So Dr. Cropley is a respected naturopathic physician, natural philosopher, mystic, and non-dual scientist with 50 years of clinical experience. He has more than 50,000 patient visits as a clinician and teacher, guiding his patients and students to heal all types of clinically diagnosed illnesses without the uses of any medicines or supplements. And I am so excited to talk about this because I saw a naturopathic doctor a while back, and there were so many supplements to the point where it was just too much. His teachings provide a simple, clear understanding of how healing occurs in the human body, mind, and relationships. He is a respected elder in naturopathic medicine and a pioneer of naturopathic behavioral medicine. He's also the founder and director of Nourish Naturopathic Healing Arts, which is a virtual naturopathic medical clinic specializing in training individuals, doctors, and holistic practitioners how to heal illness through 4 primary behaviors, which we will discuss. He trains doctors with a program he developed called and Physician Heal Thyself, and encourages fellow humans to literally transform their health using behaviors they are already doing on a daily basis, a way of living that he himself lives. Within all this, he integrates naturopathic medicine, Christianity, yoga, Buddhism, Stoicism, Western psychology, and the scientific method in ways that are clear, simple, and readily understandable. Woo. Okay. How was that?
Woo.
Woo.
That's a lot for
And it's
something
so
that is simultaneously simple and complex
yes.
beyond comprehension.
Yes. And I want to ask you, when you first came on with me and I asked you how you were doing, would you mind, let's go back and repeating that moment? Because it was really good. And I think our listeners and viewers need to connect with that.
Mm-hmm. What I said in the moment, and is true for me, is that I am unspeakably grateful. And I would say for the miracle of life itself, and the wisdom, the happiness, and the compassion that is mine to experience, is all of ours to experience, but living in that experience is, as I say, unspeakable gratitude.
Okay. What a great lead in, because I really ask you guys to feel that, because I do feel it from you, that it is truth for you, which is so nice. And I told Dr. Charley too, hey, I'm going to take some of that today. I could use some of it. And he said, totally okay. All right. My first question for you is, how did you start seeing the Great Awakening, or the falsity, a lot of the falsities that are in our world right now? How did that come to you?
It's been an ongoing process, you could say, following the scientific method. I was introduced to the theory and principles of naturopathic medicine when I was about 23 years old. I'm 78 years old now. And hearing those, I was immediately transformed by them, knowing what was shown to me in reading a book given to me by a friend, was that for the first time, it entered into my consciousness that illness is not something that besets us and we're innocent victims of sickness and it's a matter of luck, but rather there are real causes to sickness. And in this case, in the early days, this author was teaching how we cause our sickness and can heal our sickness by the ways that we eat. And I thought, I don't know of anything more relevant to people, more meaningful that they will want to know. And I was captivated. And then since then, it has been and will continue to be a ceaseless spiraling evolution of wisdom and compassion.
So when you read that, okay, let me see how to ask this question. At 23, correct?
Mhm.
Were you already, in a sense, ingrained into typical healthcare, and that was just a total step out of that? Or,
That's right.
okay.
That's right. I'd never heard anything else anywhere ever.
And I know you talked about this being your destiny in one video that I watched. When you read that, were you suddenly like, this is my calling?
Oh, well, no, I didn't say this is my calling. I was
Okay.
ski bumming in Aspen, Colorado, and so what it was to me was, as I've expressed, something so meaningful that I was captivated by it. I began that day or the next day when I woke up, I began a fast because this book was about fasting. And I began to transform my ways of eating, knowing that, you know, attracted, drawn by this truth that had been revealed.
Okay. How did this book come to you?
A buddy of mine in Aspen
No way.
who yeah, he was at the time making vegetable juices and doing juice fast himself in the dead of winter, and and said, "Here, check this book out." And I read it, as I say, and that was the beginning.
Wow. At 23. Okay. So that was the beginning. So what followed after that?
Oh, it's been a steady progression. I found out that in my hometown was a man, a medical doctor named Henry Beeler, who has been my mentor. And I would say I'm probably the inheritor of his teachings. And he treated my grandmother, my sister, dear friend of the family who had lupus and was healed of her lupus. And I had the opportunity to visit with him and study with him. And that was but one. There were repeated revelations that of finding books, of finding people, of finding a school of naturopathic medicine in 1970, or I guess I began searching probably about 1974 or 73. Nobody ever heard the word naturopathic medicine, and it was by an accident that I was somebody sent me a catalog from the school, and I looked at it and said, "I got to go check this out," and stepped into what a um, classmates and into a school and a curriculum and teachers who were absolutely extraordinary and in large part, as well as I know, probably the core of the revolution in medicine, which we could say would be the emergence of holistic medicine, functional medicine. These uh, people, these colleagues, they began the first supplement companies, the first herbal companies. They
Whoa.
traveled to Greece, they traveled to South America, they traveled to India and brought back the wisdom of Ayurveda, of homeopathy, of which now the US is the center for Buddhism, for yoga, for holistic medicine, for on and on. The people who are now my age and younger than my age who have given their lives to this are just living treasures who have have seeded this and are gladly passing it on.
So what is the school still in existence? What was it?
Yeah, it was the National College of Naturopathic
Okay.
Medicine then, which and it that school, and I believe at one point we had 7 colleges, and they kind of go in and out of being somewhat. There are now 5 for sure. There
Okay.
may be 6 or 7 if we count there's the ones in Canada as well. And so check this out. Do you know what was the size of the graduating class when I entered Naturopathic College in 1975?
I would say 20.
2.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
2. Naturopathic medicine was breathing its last breath,
Wow.
right? It was, and these 2 people, one of them was Joe Pizzorno, who began Bastyr College of now Bastyr University of Naturopathic Medicine. He and the uh, the school was hit with an influx of hippies and I think there was almost 100 of us in my class that started out that yeah, and the school didn't know what to do with us, and it was, and everybody as avid as I am, and more so if that's possible. It's yeah, it was just it was
That had to be so fun.
oh, it
I
was
mean,
so fun. It was
wow.
so fun. Yeah, yeah. And we, like what's happening today, had to, odd though it may seem, fight against and take on
Oh yeah.
the entrenched thinking of the time
Oh yeah.
of among our elders in the profession. And I don't say all of them, but the structures, the state organizations, and the schools themselves. And we came up against that and had to learn political strategies from our freshman year of how to bring about this that was calling to us.
Were okay, tell me if I'm asking this correctly. Were there certifications? Was it even seen as a real diploma? Did y'all have to fight for that too? Like, yeah,
Oh
we're
no, no,
okay.
no, we didn't. What we had to fight for was that that uh, uh, would be the basic question: are you real doctors?
Yeah.
I never heard of this, that, and being accepted into the world of medicine in our culture, and now today in places like Boulder, um, naturopathic physicians are highly respected,
Oh my gosh. That's
sought
great.
out by, that's usually the first line that people go to. And then if they have to have a medical doctor, which they do, and I recommend to all my patients that they be under the care of a medical doctor, they then choose one of those.
That is so amazing. Because I was going to ask you how things are going in Boulder because I'm in Ohio and it is definitely not the first line.
Mhm,
Alternative medicine
mhm.
is growing, and there's so many people that are turning to it because just like with the vaccination, which I'm going to ask you about, and with big pharma and medical, it's just to keep you sick. And I think people are realizing that more and more. I'm so glad to hear that. Why is it like that in Boulder? Why do you think?
Oh, Boulder's um, if I briefly go into the history, uh, 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 a foundational influence in Boulder was that of John Harvey Kellogg, who was the inventor of Kellogg's cornflakes.
Mhm.
And he was he began the Battle Creek, Michigan, the Battle Creek Sanatorium,
Yes.
and then he came here and began the Boulder, Colorado Sanatorium. And John Harvey Kellogg was raised by Ellen G. White. Ellen G. White was the founder of Seventh day Adventism. And she was preaching a gospel of the word of Christ, which teaches us to heal ourselves through the use of food, fresh air, water, sunlight, herbal medicines, and so on. And John Harvey Kellogg was, to my limited knowledge, the the most cutting edge
Mhm.
person in medicine in his time. So those two people, they came to Colorado. This was during the times of tuberculosis, and the mountain air was believed to be and is beneficial for that. And they came and looked over the most beautiful piece of land in Boulder, right on Mapleton Hill, and Ellen G. White went by the whole thing. And they bought 15 acres, established a sanatorium that's just this incredible old Victorian 3-story on 15 acres that was fabulous. And then right there, it sits on Mapleton Hill, which again is the old wealth district with the big, beautiful homes of Boulder. Well, they attracted all their staff, and this whole mentality seeded Boulder. And so Boulder from the get-go was, grown in this consciousness.
Primed and ready. Wow. Okay. I'm go ahead and ask you this question now, because this is kind of out of the box of what we're talking about. It isn't. Dr. Charley? How would you what is love? How would you describe it?
How would I describe love?
Yes.
How would I describe love? I don't know. I know it when I see it. And uh, there's the love that we all know in the world. We love our children. We love our spouse. There's well, that's love. I mean, that's love. And there is the love that I'd like to speak about is the love that is sickness. And that is what is missed. So my work, I'm a physician. And my simple mission is to heal the sick. In healing the sick, the transformational difference between naturopathic medicine and conventional medicine is that sickness is wise and purposeful. So if you say, if we ask, what's the cure for a hangover, right? A hangover, you could say, form of sickness. And nobody to date has ever been able to cure a hangover, right? So we're still messing around trying to treat the symptoms. And the reason that we've not been able to cure a hangover is because a hangover is the cure. Now, what's it the cure for? Obviously, from poisoning ourselves with alcohol. Now, following that same thinking, we say, what's the cure for a common cold, right? Well, it's to stop doing what causes the common cold. Now, and so what is that? And where do we look for those causes? Naturopathic medicine says that our illness is a message from the wisdom of our body, from the wisdom of the universe, from God herself to us. And so we look, and it's a message to change. And to change what? To change the ways that we eat, to change the ways that we move, rest, and sleep, to change the ways that we use our mind, that we think, that we believe, that we ruminate about, and to change the ways that we relate to others and treat others, those 4 areas. Mm-hmm. So looking at it this way, each person, each patient is led to that the challenge, the formidable challenge of how do I change my eating? Right? How do I change my incessant worry and anxiety? Mm-hmm. How do I change needing to be right in relationships or not listening to my spouse. How do I change these things? We come up against that we are addicted, truly, truly addicted. We face deeply ingrained habits in ourselves, in each of our behaviors. And this is my particular love in the work, is guiding my patients to find within themselves the power to cease harming themselves with their behaviors, to cease doing what produces sickness and what produces regret, and to free themselves to be able to, here we're talking about love, actually do what is loving, feed themselves in a loving manner that they know to be loving, and to bring their actions into harmony with what is true, with meaning what is true with what is scientifically evidenced, right? With our sense of, am I being true to myself to drink this much coffee, to eat this many sweets, right? To slouch in this manner and breathe as I normally do versus being poised like a goddess and breathing as an expression of love, and so on. So, and then what each person discovers, and our unconquerable weapons in healing are that of love, compassion, meaning our own compassion for ourselves as expressed, right, in listening to our spouse, and our second weapon is that of truthfulness, being true to our own selves and to the truth as we perceive it and it's revealed to us. And the third is that of community, so that we do so with other people who have themselves been engaged as you have in the healing of cancer, in the healing of MS, in the healing of their migraine headaches, their obesity. And by the power of these three medicines, we heal. We heal. Okay. And it's absolutely gorgeous work. And I move to add one point. When my patients see me and we go over, I look at their eating journal or ask them to please read their eating journal to me. And we discuss what are the challenges that they're facing to healing themselves, loving themselves. And I've realized that, and all doctors, or certainly naturopathic doctors, are aware of this, it's a form of confession.
Yes, right. Yes.
Now, confession is, I would say there is no healing without confession.
Yeah, I would agree.
And the confession to, in this case, to me, a trusted physician who's in close relationship with them, is fabulous. And from ancient times and in all religions is that of being able to honestly confess our self-harming behaviors to the community, and everybody in the community goes, yeah, me, yeah, the stuff I do is,
yep, I feel you.
God help me.
Yeah. Yeah, so literally like the shadow side, the dark sides of ourselves that we have to bring them out in terms of changing them to light or whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so you're a priest.
So what?
You're a priest. You're a priest. People confess to you.
Sure. Yeah, I think Yeah, absolutely. And we're dealing with the work of God. That's all that life is. But healing and suffering brings it to our attention. And back to
Mm.
what you were talking uh, about sickness and the prevalence of sickness that you see in Ohio, for example, and we see everywhere. Um, are, this is um, the it's such there's such the healing that people seek is available, and it's simple common sense. Again, I like to speak into our culture what is uh, speak of virtue, of good and evil, of
Mhm.
conscience, of shame, of pride, of gluttony, of terms that have been forever with us, right? It's
Mhm.
forever with us, back as far as our sacred texts go. And these are true, that we are called to a life of virtue, and not virtue where somebody's keeping track of you, but virtue is being true to the truth. It's being true to the truth of love.
Ooh.
It's the gift, and we're at war to defeat within ourselves the forces. You can call them demons, you can call them spirits, but the real, what do we actually face? What is the way that we talk to ourselves that leads us to drink excessively, if you would? Who are the people who laugh at us, jeer at us, or the people around whom we do our drugs, drink our alcohol, gossip, whatever it is? Um, we we these are our challenges, and we are at war. And the war ain't won by somebody as weak as I am, only by the hand of God. However you see that, the hand of goodness, the hand of beauty, the hand of truth, the hand of love.
So to repurpose, I guess that's the word of what you're saying too, in terms of this great awakening, that I believe that we are in this moment of, really seeing the dark side and the light side, and it's all us, and using these times to either go into the dark side, if you want to call it that, remain the victim, remain, victim is a good one, or to go,
Yeah.
oh, this is me. Well, I can change myself and I can change my relationships and I can move into love. And when I do that, wow, look at what it feels like. Look at that passion inside of me. Look at me getting close. And I also believe that in this moment, getting us, one of the purposes is to get us away from God. And it doesn't matter what God is to you. It can be creator, source, universe, whatever, but just this I want you to talk about this too. I feel there is this mastery that if we attach to it and we get into it and we find it in our hearts, we are masters. We are so powerful. And within that, there's this humbleness and this virtue and this, it's just crazy, the paradox of all of it, being powerful and being weak and vulnerable all at the same time. Oh my gosh, Dr. Charley, I'm just talking. Please add into that. Woo!
Hmm. Hmm.
Mm.
You're doing great.
Thank you. And I am feeling better, by the way, which is awesome. Ugh, love talking about
Right,
this.
right.
Oh, fuels my fire.
Getting the flow, and life
Exactly.
becomes better. Yes. Um, the so let me put this out a little of
Yeah.
how healing works, because a lot of most doctors don't understand this, and few people do. You can speak of two types of sickness, and if we go to the model of alcohol, we could see it there. There's acute sickness. Acute sickness is a sinusitis, a sore throat, a bladder infection, a diarrhea, a fever. That they are self-limiting sicknesses that we get for 3 days to 2 weeks, and they pass on. And there are chronic illnesses, which we know that litany of obesity and diabetes and heart disease and cancer and MS and Alzheimer's and all the chronic diseases that are absolutely ravaging us today. And what I would like for our listeners to understand is that chronic disease cannot happen in a person who understands the nature of acute disease, meaning that it is intended to us to reform us, to change us, right?
Nice word.
So understanding that and how to care for an acute illness. So if one goes, I got these massive headaches or hangovers, and I'm nauseated, and I gotta deal with this. They do the work of getting away from alcohol, but in that process, their body has them not eat because they'll throw up, and maybe not go to work that morning because they're so hungover, and so they rest. Their body purifies itself, and that would heal them. If they continue drinking and do not heal it in the acute stages, then of course their liver continues to degenerate and their liver becomes cirrhotic, and they go on to die of cirrhosis of the liver. And this is a cumulative process where the alcohol, the effects of the alcohol, the results build and build and build. It's the same way with cancer. It's the same way with all chronic disease. And so then, and this is speaking about the wisdom of illness here. In the chronic disease, many people who are chronically diseased will come to me and say, I'm never sick. I don't get colds and flus and stuff like that. And it is because their vital force, the energy of their body, has become so weakened, it can't muster a strong resistance to the challenge. So in our work, for example, with cancer, I begin them on a therapy that radically improves their eating, if they're able to radically improve their eating. And what will happen is, as the body gets more energy and becomes nourished and less poisoned, it on its own will initiate the cancer equivalent of a hangover, which we call a healing crisis. And they'll develop a fever, sweat profusely, perhaps vomit, go through a crisis, which then, because naturopathic physicians understand how to steward a crisis, we're not giving them ibuprofen and trying to make it go away, right? So we heal it properly, changing the diet, prescribing rest, cleansing the body, and then they feel a little bit better. And the body, you have to go back and go through all that poisoning and all that metabolic derangement that's taken place. And as you do so, you come more alive and your body heals.
So essentially, too, you have to go through that crisis. So I have a lot of people that do the same thing. I'm like, okay, you're taking a step forward, yet you're going to come back to where you were because you're in this new space now. You're going to realize that that's not where you want to be, but yet you're going to be in it. And it's going to be yucky, yet it's so important for you to be there because now you're seeing the difference. So when people start going through that crisis, do they turn to you sometimes and go, what is this? I don't know if I can handle it. Coach me through it.
Oh, sure. Oh, sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Tremendous.
And not only that, but many people fail.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
what don't we fail at?
Yeah.
We don't just give up alcohol like, oh, it's a good idea.
Easy
I'll
peasy.
quit drinking it. Yeah, I'll give up eating sweets, right?
Hmm.
I'll start exercising regularly. I or we don't just heal our marriage like, oh, I think I'll just heal it, right? It's ooh,
Yeah, eating all
we
this stuff is ingrained. I mean, it's ingrained in us and releasing ourselves from these addictions and these patterns. And plus, we've been indoctrinated to a lot of these things too. How am I supposed to look? How am I supposed to act? And there's so much to it that's not true. Have there been, I'm assuming, multiple occasions where someone was right on the brink of having that dramatic change and they just couldn't go through with it?
yeah. Oh yeah, it's heartbreaking. Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a woman who, um, really
Uh,
good woman who worked hard at healing herself and had a habit of, which is very common, of overeating at night.
mhm.
And she was um, she couldn't metabolize carbohydrates well, and she was addicted to them, and so that was the way
Ooh.
she would overeat. And um, and when I talked to her about this, she couldn't hear it. It's didn't it, she really loved it and didn't want to change. And she ended up finding herself with severe
Ooh.
abdominal pain, vomiting,
Oh man.
diarrhea, fevers, and she was having a gallbladder attack, and ended up going and having her gallbladder removed.
Oh man.
And that's an example of of if of how healing goes. This woman has gone on since then to wake up, and she now has really regained her beauty, her body, her energy.
Whoa.
Oh yeah, she's a fabulous musician who tours, and a
Oh.
touring musician who eats impeccably and takes care of herself. And when she comes on stage, you know it. It's like this
Oh.
woman carries a light, and her music carries a
Oh.
light that is so beautiful.
So it took her going through that gallbladder
Oh
experience
yeah,
to
yeah.
help her. Oh
Yeah,
man.
and many people, you speak of almost being there. I think that the greatest influence in healing
Yeah.
is that of community, is that of relationship, that it is the influence of others. And I have um, I have patients who, well, for example, now I'm I'm just beginning to work with a young boy of 10
Oh.
who is on the autistic spectrum.
Mhm.
And his family has a little awareness of how to nourish healing. And in beginning him in making changes in the way he eats, 10-year-old boy in a family, he can't choose, or would be a real exception that he on his own is going to markedly change his eating. And so I look at the challenge, the family
Oh
challenge
yeah.
that's ahead here, right? And it depends on the consciousness, the willingness of everybody in the family.
Yeah.
If the father is going, father, let's say, I don't know the case yet in this family, but
Yeah.
says, I don't want to watch videos, and yeah, I don't buy this. And you know, how do you surmount that? And the answer is, and what you were asking me
Mm.
is, do I see people who really want to heal and really try and then don't make it? Yeah, all the time, all the time.
And it is, I'm curious with your standpoint, like for me, it's again not to take it personally. And it used to be when I first started too, like I was so in it. I was so, let me help you. And now I'm just like, okay, I'm just a facilitator.
Right.
It's your choice, and I'm going to give you the tools, yet you are responsible, not me. And that still, it's still hard. I mean, because we're human beings as well and want everybody to have success. And for me too, it's at the end of the day, all of this is about love and learning to love yourself. I mean, that's the bottom line, which it sounds like for you
That's
too,
the
that's
bottom
it.
line.
So when
Yeah.
you are there with someone who doesn't quite see that or doesn't quite attain that, yeah, it's disheartening, but to not be attached to it. Oh, it's a slippery slope. Was how do
Um,
you deal with being neutral when someone says they want to change and they're given the tools and they just don't do it? How do you deal with that?
okay, here's how I deal with it. Um, I when I'm training physicians, the title of all my courses is Physician Heal Thyself.
Mhm.
In doing the work of self-healing, of living in a way that produces health, we the way I see it is that, well, you know this, you know this, is that something in there's a difference between somebody who has read a lot about nutrition, right? And somebody who has freed themselves of their addictions, knows how to feed themselves, has a healthy relationship with hunger. And that person's words have a power, rightly, clearly. That is not a concept about power. It is power speaking to you, guiding you, and people feel that and sense that, and that power has an effect. I see it with my Tai Chi teacher. This man's ability to move and his wisdom is he inspires me that uh, to emulate him, to do the work. He gives me confidence. It's the same way as it's said that a mother brought her son to Gandhi and said to Mahatma Gandhi, said, my son's eating sugar all the time. It's bad for his health. I want him to stop eating sugar. And if I bring him to you and you tell him to stop eating sugar, he really trusts you.
Mm.
He'll he will do that. And Gandhi said to her, he said, um, go and bring him back in a month to talk to me about this. And she brought her son back in a month, and Gandhi said to him, you need to quit eating sugar. And the
Okay.
mother said to Gandhi, like, why did we have to wait a month for this? And Gandhi said, I had to quit eating sugar.
Ah! That's delightful.
Yeah.
That's delightful. I love that. I do want to ask you this, Dr. Charley. Well, I know what naturopathic medicine is. I probably should have asked this in the first, right in the beginning. Can you describe that for those who may not know exactly what it is?
Yeah. It's a philosophy and practice of medicine that is founded on the principles that I've just described, that illness is wise and purposeful, and therefore the treatment of illness, the first principle that we have is first and above all, do no harm. Right?
Mhm.
So that is an example. And so it in naturopathic medicine, we are guided by principles, and our practices include nutrition and exercise and right use of the mind relating these, but it also includes herbal medicine, acupuncture,
Thank you.
homeopathic medicine, physical medicine, spinal manipulation, body work, hydrotherapy with water in healing, And that would be an overview, and it is inclusive of therapies that do no harm, that are in harmony with the body and serve to heal the body. That may be light, it may be different forms of electrical currents. There's Ayurvedic principles. It's very inclusive, and in the schools, we focus particularly, as I say, on the behavioral roots of medicine, the behavioral determinants of medicine, and then with supplementation, herbal medicine, homeopathic medicine. I don't know if acupuncture is taught anymore. Physical medicine and therapy, which is water therapy, which is very big. That's pretty common in naturopathic medicine, certainly in North America and pretty much throughout the world.
Okay. Very nice. Thank you for that summary. I know we've talked about some of it before. Hey, just for people listening and watching, we are having a little bit of stopping, yet it still continues
I'm
on.
not hearing you, Eden.
Okay. We are having a little bit of internet connection instability, yet it feels like we're still getting through it. So we're just going to continue on. And there's one question I really want to ask. When you're working with your fellow physicians on the art of listening, which I think is huge, like when someone comes to you and they're confessing and you letting them, they're comfortable confessing. Because again, like in Western medicine, what are your symptoms, in and out? What do you recommend to them, or how do you teach that?
By demonstration primarily. And so for example, in the first level of the course, we take my preliminary consultation form. And in that form, it asks, what are your chief complaints, your medical history, a few standard questions, and then it asks 15 questions that ask about your skillfulness in eating, in movement, in and the ability to listen compassionately, to speak truthfully. How happy are you? How kind are you to yourself?
Some big stuff.
What I consider, the most important questions. So the physicians do this themselves as if they were a patient, right? And then I will model. I'll take one physician's case, right? And they get to see, and I'm going, watch the listening here.
Mhm.
If you can watch listening, watch
Exactly.
the listening here. And then they take one another's case, like they're in triads, and one doctor takes another one's case and practicing in this. So if their anxiety about their finances, compassionate listening involves, let me see if I'm understanding you here. What you're saying is, and when they feel understood, you've understood them. Versus, I got it. Next question.
Right.
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 Yeah. So, and when people feel understood, they trust you. They know you know them. There's we're connected here. It's so good.
When you've been working with people and doing that, have you seen breakthroughs in that too? Like, oh my gosh, this is how I listen. This is how good it feels for me to be listened to. Have you seen people be like, oh my gosh, this feels so good?
Oh, yeah, it's a skill. Like there's times now where I go, I trust myself. I used to try and go and remember these things, right? Like I'm focused on remembering these things. And now I go, let me see if I understand you. And I start talking. And
Right.
I go, I can't believe that, if you would, how well I listened to that person, or how well I understood. Like that wasn't in my head that I knew that. And yet I find, because I do understand them, because I am listening to them, that's available to me. And so I see that right, happening in myself like any other skill. We improve in it. And the other asking about, like, uh, my patient will tell me things that I would go to them as a doctor and pay them to tell me these things, and I get to experience insights from them, or qualities of strength of character and gifts that they hold, that I just like, wow, it's like listening to a guru.
So nice. So nice. And I didn't bring this up to you when we first connected, but I do want you to lead us in Just Be Practice today. Are you ready for that?
Oh, totally. I'm always
Ah,
ready for that.
good. Because I always like to, because I think it's been like a month or so since I contacted you guys. So I always like to do a reminder before we record. But so let's go ahead and move into that. Is there anything else before we go there? Is there anything else you would like to talk about or add? Because this would be the end of our show together.
No, this is what I'd like to add right here. This is
Okay,
this is the core
let's go.
practice, which we'll do in 3 minutes here,
Awesome.
given our time, right?
Ready.
Just be practice.
Which this is how I teach my patients to heal their food cravings, to heal their anxiety, because the purpose of the food cravings, the purpose of the anxiety, is a call to ourselves to awaken ourselves and more genuinely. So here we are. So we begin with, let's feel our own goodness that has us here in this moment. Each of us, one aspect of our goodness is that we hope that this is a blessing to the people listening, that the truth that brings us such joy, that other people might share in that joy and share in that healing working in us right now. Allow that to imbue your breathing, whatever that means to you. Allow your attention to come into your body and into the sensations of your body breathing, and allow those sensations, allow your breathing to be sweet, to be caring, like a mother to a child, so that you feeling that in your breathing. And breathe by relaxing. Allow the miracle of breathing to happen, imbuing it, influencing it towards kindness, healing, beauty, peace. And I'll guide you through just a short process of the next time that you're inhaling. Relax, inhale fully, and then pause your breathing. Just suspend your breathing and watch how the intensity builds. And then relax and breathe naturally. And at any point in your breathing, by pause, you experience. By pausing your breathing, and you can let it build and let it build and let it build for as much as you choose. And then you relax and breathe. So we'll complete this exercise. It's barely a beginning of the process. Naturally, with your breath, inside say to yourself, Eden, I love you. You are precious to me. You take 3 more breaths, and with each breath, repeat those words to yourself. And when you complete, open your eyes.
Taking my time here. One more. I loved that. I loved your words too. Sweetness in your breathing. When you said that, my whole body registered with it, totally relaxed. Okay. And it was so nice to say those words to myself too, but the sweetness of breathing. Okay. I can't even talk for a second. Y'all give me a minute. Okay. That was great. Don't you think? It was awesome. And we keep freezing, but it's okay. It's so good. As you know, I came into the show not feeling all that great, and I'm leaving it feeling supercharged and amazing. So again, this show is such a gift to me. Thank you so much for being on here, Dr. Charley. That was wonderful. Oh my gosh, I'm so jazzed up right now. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. And again, I'll post this too and put it in the on the show. So your website is www.charleycropley.com. So thank you so much for the decades of work. Oh, and I do want to mention you, 78 years old, you said, you look so young and youthful. So to give credit in just seeing you, this stuff works. For those who can't see Dr. Charley, that in doing these things, it does, that vital force within you. You are representative just in the way you look of this stuff works. So do it. When do you say that?
Beautiful.
Okay, awesome. Okay. Wonderful. All right. If you can hold on with me for a second so we can say face-to-face goodbye. Thank you so much for being here today. All right, y'all. See you, hear you next week. Much love. Bye. Y'all, find me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, True Social, as well as Rumble, BitChute, YouTube, plus a plethora of other audio directories like Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So like, subscribe, do it all. See ya.